What is going on, everybody? Wally back with another theory video, and this one's going to be a little bit more informal than the ones have been in the past. And there's sort of kind of been a request to go back to these, so we'll see how this one is taken. But I kind of want to go over a couple of things about the Prison of Elders and sort of my thoughts on it, because a lot of it really doesn't make sense from a story perspective. And I kind of wanted to clear the air, get some of the theories out there, potentially why the things are the way they are, why we see all the races here, why there is a House of Judgment, why these things exist, and sort of formulate this into a better strategy moving forward. Now, a lot of this, of course, could change. And again, this is really a theory because I have no idea. I'm kind of just basing it off information that we already all know. So to get that out of the way, I don't know anything more than you guys do. I was not at Bungie for the YouTuber Bungie special that they had for House of Wolves. And I don't have a line into Bungie at all, so I have no extra information. So I'm going to just go off and kind of rail through some things that sort of make sense. I'm going to try to bring up some questions that do make sense and maybe not make sense. And then, of course, at the end of this, I want to get your guys' take on this, why the things are the way they are in the Prison of Elders, and perhaps we can move forward better in the future of an understanding of just what is going on right now in the story. So first and foremost is, why are all the four races in the Prison of Elders? Now again, this is probably going to be explained much better as we get more information, but first and foremost, a couple ideas that come to my mind is that the Prison of Elders is built on top of some kind of war mind or some kind of informational center, perhaps a new power source or a new weapon or a completely new race that we've never seen before. But the idea is that the reason all these four races are coming together in one location is because there's something there that they need or want, or perhaps it's just a good strategic location for them in the rest of the system. Now, all of these things can be relatively explained pretty well throughout the story. We know the Cabal have an interest in the war mines. We see them in Clovis Bray. We know that the Hive have an interest in war mines because they've been trying to go after Rasputin. The Vex, again, are very interested in a lot of technology, even though they're sort of taken out of the equation because they seem to be sort of this surreal, on a pedestal race that seems to know everything before it does happen. And of course, the Fallen, we've seen them, again, they have an interest in Rasputin with the House of Kings. In one of the first story missions, we see them trying to get information from him, or at least take control of him. So that makes sense. If the Prison of Elders is there because it's built upon something, or there's something inside the prison that just isn't supposed to be there, or it has to be locked away, some kind of Charlemagne's vault kind of thing where there's something so powerful, so immense that it has to be guarded, and all the four races are there, that they really want this. That is possibly a couple explanations as to why they're there. The second explanation is that the Prison of Elders is really an area for where the Queen or even the House of Judgment has captured some of the high-ranking officials from the other races. Now, personally, this seems really unlikely because we've all seen how combative these races are. None of them have ever surrendered to us ever. Probably that's because the way they're coded. But in reality, even in the lore, none of them have surrendered. None of these races really have done anything in terms of showing signs of really defeat or retreat or anything like that. So for her or anyone really's ability to capture these races and these leaders, these powerful enemies, and put them into a prison, again, is confusing. It sort of doesn't fit into the lore. Maybe that's exactly what happened, but I sincerely doubt that being one of the possibilities. Another explanation plays into the House of Judgment. So we understand the House of Judgment being one of the old fallen houses, doesn't exist anymore, and it really does exemplify the honor and sort of the ability and justice that the fallen used to have before they fell or before they became the vandals and pirates that they are now. Again, this one sort of still doesn't make sense, because if you apply the logic that the Fallen came into the system after the end of the Golden Age to pick up the scraps, at that point they're technically already pirates and vandals. They really don't have a use for this House of Judgment to store all of these prisoners or individuals. That may be what's going on. The tech in there seems to be Fallen tech, so that's probably what's going on. It probably was originally a Fallen prison that has been transformed by the Reef's takeover or the Queen's takeover into something completely different, or it's been attacked and assaulted by other factions to sort of get their foothold within the Reef. And what best place to do it than an area that has already a lot of hostility for the Reef and the Reef's overlords. But again, the House of Judgment itself it's sort of interesting how it comes into play here, because I really don't know exactly how they're going to explain that one in terms of the lore, because all the fallen houses we've seen thus far have been nothing but hostile to the Guardians and the Reef for that matter, except for the House of Wolves and of course the House of Judgment, which has been friendly to the Reef, at least in recent times. So how they're going to explain that, to me at least, is going to be very interesting. I am curious to see what a lot of the community thinks. I've been kind of reading through Reddit and sort of looking through a lot of opinions on this one. But Varix seems to be a good guy, and it's probably the first step towards that alliance, or at least working together with the Fallen that a lot of people have sort of been requesting. Again, that I don't think that's going to happen, because it sort of plays way too well into the elites working with the humans back in the Halo 2, Halo 3 days, but it very well may lead that stepping stone for us to see that in the potential future. The final thing I wanted to touch on is the Nine's influence in this. Now, this is my personal theory on why the Prison of Elder exists or is still around. So when the Queen took power, she undoubtedly had help. There's no way that a group of Awoken or Reef-born Awoken had the ability to overcome one of the stronger fallen houses and then completely imprison a group of them, and then of course become the overlords or the rulers of the group that would eventually become subservient to them. So again, my opinion here is that she had help, and a lot of the lore and a lot of the information sort of pushes in the direction that the Nine are actively helping her, or actively at least helping the Reef as a people. Now they're of course actively helping us with Xur, so it kind of makes sense. They have their hands and fingers in a lot of the different things around the galaxy. The darkness is ultimately their enemy as it is ours. However, they do not want to become directly involved, so they choose to do this indirect sort of course of action. As we know, Skolas was supposed to be a gift to the Nine, and he was one of those trapped in the House of Wolves. He is a trapped individual in prison, much like Asgore, the Archon priest that we meet on Venus. So again, it makes sense. I personally think that the Nine have something to do with this in terms of the Prison of Elders, or at least its creation, or at least its ability to still be there after all this time. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but I am very curious to know what you guys think. Of course, once we get more information, once the cards start dropping in again, I'm going to go back to doing the formal videos with the script and sort of the ambiance and the voice and all that good stuff. But for now, I kind of wanted to gauge this, really get your opinions. I couldn't really write out a script for this one. I started writing it out, but it really just didn't have enough solid information beyond my own speculation, so I decided to just hit this one with some informal goodness. I hope you guys appreciate this, and I hope you guys are having a great day. I am very curious to know what you guys think, and if you want more videos sort of informal like this, just sort of discussing the lore and information out of character and just presented as it is and as it should be. You guys are great people. I hope you guys have a great day. I love y'all. Peace.